Hi guys, and welcome to another Is It Worth It? And this time we are going to be looking at the Valentine II. Now this is a Tier 4 Russian Premium Light Tank, but it is a little bit out of order because I've been going through all the tanks from Tier 2 all the way up to Tier 8, but due to the fact that two Is It Worth It videos are currently on pause due to the fact I can't really play the 8.9 replays for them, I've decided to skip them and just go ahead with the series by skipping straight to Tier 4. So, Valentine II. About 3,000 of these were shipped to the Russians from the British under the Lend-Lease program, and it is available from the gift shop for 1,000 gold. But like most low-tier premium tanks, it is on special quite a lot, and it is on special at half price at the moment, so 500 gold. Is it worth it? At 1,000 or 500? I can't really say. Not till the end of the video, at least. Okay, let's go. So Tier 4, it is a premium, so let's switch on premiums. Let's switch on Tier 4. And let's switch on light tanks. And there we go. It is the only Tier 4 light tank premium in the game, so I cannot compare it against all the other light tanks Tier 4 premiums because there are none. So I guess, yeah, we're going to have to compare it against a non-premium tank, and I hate doing that. So we are going to compare it, I'm on the Brits already, we're going to compare it against the Valentine that you can actually get in-game that isn't a premium tank. So we're bringing up the Valentine and the Valentine II Premium. We'll go back to the garage. There we go. So, yeah, it's another one of these premium tanks, a bit like the M3 Lite, where if you want to experience it, you don't actually have to spend gold. It's in the tech tree anyway. So here we are, we have our Valentine, we have our Valentine II, it'll probably look better the other way around. And how do we compare? Well, this tank is, it's a standard tank, you get a Tier 4 on the British lines, but it is stock configuration here. And yes, you can make it a lot better if you upgrade the modules, but I don't love you guys enough to have to rebuy this tank and upgrade it just to compare the premium versus the upgraded Valentine. But suffice to say, like most premium tanks, the premium version is better than the in-game version stock, but not as good as the final version when the in-game tank is fully upgraded. But here we go, let's go with the comparison. 380 hit points, which is huge at Tier 4. Versus 310 hit points on the stock Valentine. 380 hit points is actually the second highest number of hit points for any tank at Tier 4. So hit points is a positive. But believe me, I am struggling to come up with positives for the Valentine II. But the hit points, that's one. Here's another positive. Fully stocked, it comes out at just under 16 tons. But the stock Valentine is heavier, so it's lighter than the stock Valentine. Engine power is 140, which is better than the stock Valentine. But again, this engine can be upgraded, and yeah, no comparison. This thing, the in-game Valentine has 4 engines, so it's going to be a little bit better when you finally finish upgrading it. The speed limit is 32, again because it has a more powerful engine, but you can increase the speed limit beyond 32 with, or not far beyond, but up to 32 with the better engines on the in-game Valentine. The traverse speed is very, very good. There we go. That's another positive. The traverse speed, when you're turning this tank from side to side, it is very, very good. At 50 degrees per second, it is noticeable. This tank turns really, really quickly. As the Valentine is a slow tank, you will get into matches like this, and I'm going to be playing this on ×2 pretty much through the whole game, or maybe even ×4. We'll play it in ×4 through the whole replay. So, yeah, My team are advancing aggressively on all fronts. I'm doing pretty much between 25 and 30 kilometers on the straight here. So finally some targets. And I'm having to switch to premium because they're not targets I can penetrate frontally. Again, we are on ×4. I've done a whole 87 damage. And I'm just not quick enough. The whole game has passed me by. So there it is, game over. Just RT left. So the speed is an issue, and you'll find a lot of matches passing you by simply because you have either gone down the wrong flank, or you have gone down one flank, been able to do some work there, and then are not able to maneuver and get around the battlefield in order to affect what's happening on the other flank. Hull armor and turret armor are almost identical to the stock version of the Valentine. Only the side turret armor has 5 degrees more, but again, that's the stock version. So this is one of the most heavily armored light tanks in the game. In fact, it's one of the most heavily armored tanks at tier 4, let alone being a light tank. So this is a light tank that is actually a heavy tank. It plays like a heavy tank. The armor is good, it can be angled. A lot of lower tier tanks are going to have problems penning you, and your tracks eat a lot of shots. And the reason your tracks eat a lot of shots is look how high your chassis is above your tracks. So even tanks shooting from the side have a pretty good chance of missing completely, or just doing track damage and not actually penetrating your track into the hull. They'll penetrate your track, but there's nothing behind the tracks. It's a very, very small tank, so that makes it a small target. Now we come down to the gun. The gun is one of the biggest letdowns on the Valentine II. It is one of its biggest weaknesses, and even the gun on the Valentine II premium tank is not as good as the stock gun on the main tank. This is a tier 4 premium tank, and we get a tier 2 gun. It is a 45mm, which is okay. Its rate of fire is pretty good. Its penetration on the standard ammo is 51, 47 damage. So 51 at tier 4, firing at tier 4 tanks, you are going to have a lot of problems. The accuracy is not great, but the aim time is pretty good. Not only is the gun bad, but then you have ammo problems. You are firing off a shot roughly every 2 seconds, and you only have 61 shells. So you can run out of ammo on this tank very, very quickly. Not only are you going to fail to penetrate a lot of the tanks you're coming up against, you can possibly penetrate them if you are able to flank them, but the slow engine speed prevents that. You then have an issue of running out of ammo. It's not all bad news. This gun does have very good camo value. In fact, the whole tank does. When you're firing this gun from cover, you have exceptional camo value. That is one of the benefits of this tank. Its camo is pretty good, and its camo while firing its gun is pretty good. So you can shoot and remain undetected. The problem is you are not able to flank enemy tanks in order to put that 51mm of penetration into use against their weak spots, simply because you are just not fast enough. So, a tier 2 gun on a tier 4 tank that only sees other tier 4s and occasionally tier 3s. We are here on Sand River, and I'm going to try and put my 51mm of penetration with the standard ammo and 84mm of penetration with the gold ammo to use. So this replay is also handy to note that even though you've got great armor and you've seen me bouncing a lot of shots or have seen me bouncing a lot of shots in the replay so far, or will see me bounce in the replays and later in the video. The armor isn't great when you come up against enemy TDs. So anything that has any sort of penetration is going to hurt you, which is probably about half the tanks you do come up against. So I want to get some spots. We'll put the gun into action because this is about the gun. And pretty good aim time, rapid firing. But problem with this tank is you really have to pick targets you can hurt. So T-82 I'm prioritizing, but B1 very little chance. Orange reticule, no chance of penning. So I'm looking for other targets I might be able to hurt. I see a Hetzer up here, but it's at distance and he's slightly angled. So even though I've got the side of a Hetzer and it's green, it's just too far and not going to do any damage. So we'll go back to looking for targets that we might actually be able to hurt. And I'm not seeing too many. M3 Lee, nope, even an M3 Lee from the front, no chance. So B1 is over here. I switched to some premium ammo, but he's angled well. I fire one and then get out of there because the FCM pack has just penetrated me for 124 damage. So there's a South 40 over here. I'll speed it up. South 40 has a weak spot on top, but I'm waiting for him to move forward, and then I notice that the tanks in the north are advancing, so he's not going to come forward anytime soon. I'm going to head back and see if I can pen any of the tanks in front of me. Cruiser 4 I can pen, so lead the shot, but then he gets into cover. So only managed one hit on the cruiser. So a couple more tanks I can potentially penetrate down here, but they're in cover. Side of a Hetzer. Miss. Don't know if that went in, but Kini has spotted me, has bounced. I retreat, and I change angle. A Covenanter moves up behind me, and an M. Stewart bounces. But second shot lands near the Covenanter, so I think he might be aiming at the Covenanter, not me. So Hetzer again, I'm on premium ammo, and absolutely no chance of penning him. So track him. Nope, no chance. So I forget I'm on premium ammo here, and we'll go to work on the Japanese tank. I should be able to penetrate this guy with standard ammo, but nope, Martyr 38T has just put another shot into me. So you've got decent armor, except when you come up against tanks firing HE like the AMX and the FCM pack, who is a whole tier below me, but has a great gun, no problems penning me, and a Martyr 38T. So managed to bounce one from the FCM pack. I'm hoping I'm in camo, but that Stewart who took a shot at me has not been spotted. So that Stewart on the enemy team is doing a really good spotting job. So I'm hanging here, and finally someone comes forward. There's the weak spot on the South 40. Forget I'm firing premium ammo, but I bounce another one from the FCM pack, but unfortunately he gets me on the next shot. So gun is punchy, but you've got to be very selective with your targets, and even though you've got good armor, anything with decent penetration is going to hurt you. The turret traverse speed is faster at 48 versus 44, and the view range is pretty good. It's better at view range and signal range than the Valentine in-game. However, these can be boosted by putting on a better turret and putting on a better radio. So the view range and the signal range do make this a viable scout. You can passive scout quite well in this tank, and again, with that gun's low camo rating when you fire it, yes, you can have some pretty good games as a passive or scout. Definitely not as an active scout, but it's situational. And so much about this tank is situational. The engine speed makes it situational. It's good on some maps where it doesn't affect you, it's bad on other maps. The gun, it's good against some tanks, it's terrible against other tanks. It is situational. The view range and the signal range, you can use this thing as a scout, but again, you're not fast enough to get into all the prime spotting positions. But again, it depends on the map and it is situational. So the view range is good on this tank. The signal range is good. The camo rating is very, very good. And I have enhanced my view range by equipping binocs, and I have enhanced my camo rating even further by equipping a camo net. And we are here on Shire, and we are going to try and do some scouting. So we are just going to play, and I'm going to try and get over to my favorite scouting bush in E6, I believe, whenever I start on the south of the map. Or from the north, it works equally well from both sides. But I am just too slow. I, to be honest, would expect to be in that bush already if I was in another scout, but we're still plodding along, trying to get over there. And before we can even reach the bush, friendly tanks are spotting enemies, and enemy tanks are already down in C8, C9. So we've got to go deal with these tanks first. I can't get up into the bush if they spot me. So, putting our lovely little gun into action. And we're bouncing shots. And he's dead. Okay, so both tanks that were spotted down in the B8, B9 are dead. Now let's head up to this bush. I don't have Sixth Sense during this game, unfortunately. I've got Sixth Sense now, but not at the time I was playing this game. But nope, I've been spotted, and yeah, that's a friendly tank shooting at me. In fact, a special shout out to Maja200013 for constantly trying to shoot me in this game, even though I'm on his team. So we advance up to the bush again. I decide to knock down a tree and retreat, just to see if anyone is watching the bush and takes a shot. But nope, no one's taken a shot at the bush. Okay, so let's head up. And there we go. Maja again trying to TK me with his whole 33% win ratio. But here we go. And yeah, I have just been proxy spotted by the Martyr II. I was in cover, but the Martyr II moved forward and proxy spotted me. So I've bounced a few shots, but I've taken 2 hits. And that Martyr II is still coming. So I'm changing the angle from where he last spotted me. And yep, I'm not in front of his gun. I track him and finish him off. But, oop, a PZ3 appears. He is coming over as well. So we're trying some shots on the move. I'm bouncing. And he's out of here. Okay. So let's head up to the bush again. So again, this tank has really, really good camo value when you can get into a position unspotted, but it also has really, really good camo value when firing its gun. So I decide to test it. Waiting for enemy tanks to return fire. Nope, nothing seems to be shooting back. Okay, now they're shooting back. So I kind of pushed my luck maybe a little bit too much. But we're off radar. Let's advance again. And we've got the back of a Marder 38T, so we can hurt him. But if he turns around, and he will in a moment, our gun can't pen him. Orange reticule on a Marder 38T at distance. So Marder 38T is still advancing, so let's take some more shots at him. But I've outstayed my welcome, time to pull back. Now he's still advancing, so I decide, you know what, I'm not going to poke the bush, not while that Marder 38T is still advancing. So there we go, we've proxy spotted him. Can't get my gun down for a shot, but he's dead. So again, make it look as if I'm retreating, should have dropped off radar by now, and it's time to advance to the bush again. But we have a PZ-2G and a Chiha who have flanked the enemy, and now they are behind the enemy on the hill. They are spotting tanks in the enemy's spawn. So I'm going to hang here just for a moment to see if I spot anything up on the hill. Binocs have kicked in. And there we go. Alright, so Chiha has been spotted. I fire a shot on the move, but then decide they've got problems behind them, so I'll advance. Surely the tanks on the hill are focused on the tanks behind them. But nope. Chiha hiding down here. I'm bouncing lots of shots. But no, these guys are still focused on front. So they've got two tanks in their own spawn, but they're still focused on aiming towards the front. So I took another shot from a T-80, but I bounced quite a few shots as well. So again, let's just roll forward, see if we can spot anything. So, just got the top of that guy, put a good shot in, but again, another bounce off the Chinee. And our team have finally decided to stop moving off the hill in F9 and actually start to play the game, and I decide to get them spots, so let's just roll forward. So, a couple of shots on the move, but nothing happening. So once again, another bounce, I angle, bounce him again. And we just keep advancing. So that's it. All enemy tanks are dead bar one, and this is where this tank has problems again, because when it comes to endgame, you are just not quick enough to get around the map to finish off whatever tanks remain. So I'm desperately trying to get over here before they kill the last guy. Have a hint of a shot just about now, miss it, and game over. So, in that game, it was my first class mastery. We ended up picking up patrol duty. No scout medal, unfortunately. I miss seeing scout medals when I'm in light tanks, but we just weren't fast enough to spot enough of the enemy. They were either spotted by friendly tanks, or I was too slow to get into a position to spot them early in the game. And that is a problem when you are scouting with this tank. It is a good scout if you can get it into position. It has the camo rating, it has the view range, it has the signal range. They could be enhanced by equipment, but you just do not have the speed to get into the best spotting positions in time. So we did end up first. We didn't do the most damage. And we did detect 5 enemy tanks. We destroyed, or damaged 6 and destroyed 1, and did 1242 spotting damage. So on those rare occasions, like I say, it's situational. On those rare occasions when you can get into a decent spotting position, the Valentine II can act as a scout, but don't rely on it. It is never, ever, ever going to be an active scout. And again, when it comes to passive scouting, it is situational. So it is better than the stock Valentine in almost every way except the gun, but it's definitely not as good as the Valentine when you have the Valentine fully upgraded. Well, let's talk about the crew. Yeah, we only have 3 crew members. We have our commander, a driver, and a loader. So this does not make a good crew trainer. And with only 3 crew members and the fact it is a Russian light tank and there aren't any good Russian light tanks left in the game, I don't rate the MT-25. There are far, far better scouts at higher tiers in other nations. Yeah, it's just not worth it. It's not worth it for training up a crew for a non-light tank either with only 3 crew slots. Moving on to equipment. How have we set it up? Well, I have gone for vents, camo net, and binocs. And the reason for that is this thing has really, really good camo value, so a camo net will only enhance that. It also has pretty decent view range at 350, but binocs are just going to enhance that even further. And vents, obviously, on every single tank I have, I'm going to have to put vents on because vents is just an awesome piece of equipment. However, what are the other choices? Well, we don't have very many. Again, a light spall liner. Even though, if you've watched my other reviews, I do not rate a light spall liner on light tanks at all. I think it's a complete waste of money. Because this thing has armor and because it has a lot of hit points, a light spall liner might be a viable option, depending on if you're going to be playing this thing on the front line. You do get hit with a lot of HE, and RT, because you're a slow-moving target, RT will focus you. But yeah, it's a better option for this tank than any other light tank I've reviewed. But again, I think the other equipment I've chosen is just better value for me. Coated optics, again, wouldn't be a bad option, but I prefer binocs just because of the extra 15% view range. Enhanced gun laying drive, completely useless on this tank due to the fact you've got a pretty good aim time anyway. And a toolbox. Again, I don't think this tank is heavy enough or has enough hit points to warrant a toolbox. So there you have it. Vents, camo net, and binocs are my chosen loadout. So as always, I am bringing the review to a close with a replay that shows all the strengths and weaknesses of whatever tank I'm reviewing in one game. And here we are on Siegfried Line, and it's not a bad map for this tank. Situational wise, it means I can get to the action pretty quickly. So here we go. So we're going to play on ×2 until we get into town. But this tank is just so situational. Some maps suit it, some maps don't, and this is one of the maps that does suit the Valentine II, because we can get into town quickly and we can get into where the action is happening. So I'm here, and I'm going to do some side scraping on this corner. So Chiha, missed my first shot. I'm able to pen at Chiha, but he keeps advancing. So I'm trying to stay angled. And there we go. Haven't taken a single point of damage yet. And let's go back to work. Oh, PZ3 advancing. So again, he can't pen me. Let's go to work. He tracked me. I repair my tracks to get angled again. And the rate of fire of this gun combined with the armor means, yes, I've used a repair kit, but I haven't taken any damage yet. So my team are advancing through town aggressively. There is no point in me sitting here any longer. I've got to move forward. So I'm kind of looking for a tank I can hurt, and the Cruiser 4 is one of them. So nice kill steal, 15 damage kill there. And we just keep rolling. So my team are starting to advance beyond me, and this is where the tank falls down, because a lot of tanks are dying and being damaged before I can get there. So Martyr 2 I could hurt, but he's dead before I can get there. Valentine AT in the distance along with another, I think it's a Japanese tank. So I just keep rolling, firing on the move, but the Valentine AT is dead. Then I notice a B1 is shooting at me. I'm gonna have problems killing the B1, so let's just ignore him. Let's just ignore him and have him bounce at me, and I'll chase down this LTP. LTP I can hurt, I just have to hit him. But again, I bounce, finish off the LTP, B1 dies behind me. So I'm on 4 kills, and one enemy tank left, enemy Arty. And again, this tank is so slow. Arty has just fired at me. I know where Arty is now. Even the HE didn't do any damage. That's how bad the SU is nowadays. But we'll just end the replay pretty much here, because that's it. No chance of reaching the enemy tank in time. The Valentine is just not quick enough. So, had to choose my targets, got to show off the armor, got to show off the gun, got to show off the low penetration, and got to show off how the speed can hurt you. So now, the final question. Is it worth it? Is it worth 1,000 gold or 500 gold when it's half price? Well, 500 gold isn't a lot. It's just almost the price of 2 garage slots for a tier 4 premium. But I think this tank has far too many negatives. 1, it is slow. So battles can pass you by before you get involved in them. And at the end of battles, if you're still alive, you don't have the speed to clean up. Because it's slow, even though this tank can work as a scout, it very rarely gets the opportunity to. This tank plays like a heavy tank. It has a terrible gun. The gun is awful. The penetration, even on the premium ammo, simply isn't good enough if you're going to be coming up against tier 4 heavies or even tier 4 mediums that are angled. And certainly at distance, you're going to struggle to penetrate even tanks you can penetrate up close. You end up firing a lot of premium ammo in this tank, so it does not make it a good money earner. It is not a good crew trainer, with only 3 crew slots and being a Russian light tank that you have very few higher tier Russian light tanks to train a crew for. It's just not worth it to get it as a crew trainer. But it's situational. For all of those negatives, there are positives. The camo rating is good. The camo rating while firing its gun is good. It has a lot of hit points. It is extremely well armored for a tier 4, not just a tier 4 light. A lot of people or a lot of players will underestimate this tank. You will pick up a lot of steel walls and Spartan medals and cool-headed medals. It's pretty cheap. If you have 500 gold lying around during a special, you can go ahead and pick it up. If you're a tank collector, then obviously this is going to be a tank you're going to get anyway. So while the tank is not good, it's not terrible. But if you're going to be getting it as a money maker, it's not worth it. Sorry guys. It can be fun, but just not often enough. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.